Hello, my unstoppable friend. Welcome back to the Burn Stress Lose Weight podcast. Happy official New Year. Last week did feel a little bit like the New Year's episode because it was dropped during New Year's week, but this podcast episode today is our first official episode of the year. We have some brand new outro music, so when you listen until the end, you'll get to hear a little bit of a new vibe, which, as you can tell over the last many weeks and months, I have been building up towards. About a month ago, I released a brand new website with new visuals, an elevated mission and message to really match the results that our clients get inside the Burn Stress, Lose Weight, Feel Unstoppable experience. And over the last many weeks and months, I have really been thinking a lot about what it is specifically that ever trips up the smart professional woman, the woman who is achieving goals in so many areas of her life. You're probably someone who got a lot of gold stars and A pluses. You know how to thrive in your career. However, there's something about feeling your best on the inside and definitely on the outside that trips you up. And I've been thinking about you a lot over the last many months on what are the specific skills, the strategies, the mindset gaps, the actual calendar gaps that smart overachievers have in achieving some of their wildest dreams. If you are brand new to me, I am so excited to welcome you here. I am Dr. Priyanka Venugopal. I'm an OBGYN turned stress and weight loss coach, specifically for professional women who self-identify as overachievers. And the reason that I work with women that self-identify as overachievers, this is a label that you give yourself. You're someone that really values high quality work. You like to see top-notch results. And some of your desire for these amazing results, while it feels really good on paper, can create a lot of invisible stress and pressure. And my mission with this podcast and what I share in my orbit is how we can bring specific mindset skills in understanding where your stresses and pressures are really coming from and dismantling some of the old perspectives that you have had that maybe got you some A pluses in the past, but is not creating an A plus life for you anymore, and how to take some of that learning and really fold it into the reality of your life. We are kicking off the new year this coming weekend with a brand new live training. It's called the Weight Loss Systems to Total Freedom in 2026. It's designed to help you craft a lifestyle that will not just help you get down on the scale and feel your best on the inside. You're going to get back at least 10 hours of time per week. You're going to hear this as a resounding theme inside the unstoppable orbit, because what I have learned is overachievers, without realizing it, are wasting invisible moments throughout the day. And these invisible moments, which is what we're going to be getting into a little bit more deeply today, is expensive. For the overachieving professional woman, your time is your number one most precious commodity. It is the only non-renewable resource that we do not have more of. You can earn back more money, you can earn back the next promotion, you can earn back almost anything. But the one thing that you cannot get back is your time, which is why it's one of those things, particularly as a mom, as I see my kids growing up, as I see my life passing me by. I realized a few years ago that more than me just feeling my best on the outside and losing this weight, I wanted to feel more present in my life. I wanted to take charge of feeling my best in this experience and to stop waiting for the elusive later. If you know that your health and weight loss goals are a top priority for you this year, number one, you're in the perfect place. That is what we do on this podcast. And number two, I want to encourage you to join me live this Sunday, January 11th, where I'm hosting this brand new training. We're going to break down the 3 systems that you need to not just achieve your weight loss goals with repeatable systems, but to get back time, to stop wasting a lot of your frustrations with confusion or overwhelm or an overextended plan. We're going to show you how to have systems that can be rinse and repeat so that you get back hours of time as you start feeling your best. You can go grab your seat over at burnstressloseweight.com/training. Make sure you go and check your email inbox with our confirmation email that will have all the details. And I really encourage you to come live. We are going to be having a live attendance bonus, so you can get all the details over on the website, and I will make sure to send you all the details via email. And for right after the training, our January cohort for Burn Stress Lose Weight, which is my small group coaching program, is officially opening for enrollment. This is a 6-month group coaching program that is specifically designed for professional women who are done learning, who want to take everything that you are learning here on this podcast and what you're learning passively through podcasts and webinars and take it into real life active execution. I know how amazing it feels to be a student and you want to keep learning, but what I want for all of you is to take everything you learn and put it into real life. So if that's something you know you want this year, I strongly encourage you to consider coaching, especially inside Burn Stress Lose Weight. It's going to be such an amazing group this year. We're starting in just 2.5 weeks, and you can go and get all those details over on the website. So if you have any questions about this live training or our group coaching program, head over to burnstressloseweight.com and you can get all the details there. Without further ado, I want to really dive into this podcast episode, especially as this year is really fresh on everyone's mind. I love the brand new energy of the new year. We have this really high of motivation and excitement, which is amazing and very natural. But I want all of us to also talk about and plan for what happens in February and March and April. What happens to that really high motivation that's at a natural high this week and maybe even next week that starts to get in the way of consistent results. The reality for most overachievers is you don't actually have a consistency problem or a discipline problem, though I know that might be what you have thought it's been up until this point. The real issue is usually indecision paralysis or decision fatigue. One of the things that is so important to clients that come to work with me, and this was my story back a few years ago as well, is I didn't just want to see the number on the scale come down, though yes, I absolutely wanted that. I didn't just want to feel better in my body and support my hormone health and my vitality and my energy levels. One of the things that I really wanted, and this was just an invisible burden in my mind, was I wanted to feel mental freedom. I wanted to stop feeling overwhelmed and confused and stressed around weight loss and my body. I knew I wanted to close the chapter on weight loss and move on to the next dream. But a lot of times, without realizing it, overachievers end up in a paradox of choices. This was a concept that was popularized by psychologist Barry Schwartz, who talked about this idea that while we want choices and having choices are really great, when we have too many choices or too many options, it actually leads to less satisfaction. And for a lot of overachievers who get hung up on perfectionist thinking, where you want the best, most perfect choice, or you want the choice that you know is going to guarantee results, we can end up in a lot of decision fatigue. While it might seem like achieving your body goal is the thing that's been hard or weight loss has felt hard, the thing that actually makes achieving your goal hard is this exact problem, the paradox of choices or staying in indecision paralysis. Today's podcast episode is going to dive into the 10 most common reasons that I have found leading the smart professional woman into decision fatigue and indecision paralysis. And it's these 10 reasons, and I want you to really think about where these 10 show up for you, that is not just costing you consistent results this year, it's the reason that your January start, the January high that you feel, fizzles out by February. Before I get into the 10 reasons, I want to just paint a visual. Imagine that you are on a road and you have a backpack on and you're trying to go from here to there. Here is where you are literally on the road. It is the number on the scale. It is how you're physically feeling in your gut and in your body. It's how much energy you are experiencing throughout the day. It is how you're feeling in terms of your relationships and in your career. Here is all of the results you have right now tangibly today. There is where you want to go. It's where you envision being at the end of this year, at the end of this journey. Maybe it is at your goal weight. It's feeling lighter, more energized in your gut. It's feeling more present in your relationships. This is the big, bold dream you have for yourself this year. Now, the reality and just the math of this is going from here to there requires taking action. We have to put one foot in front of the other. We want to have a science-informed strategy that guarantees that you can get from here to there. But what inadvertently happens when we're not aware of these 10 very specific reasons, we start to add this invisible weight into our backpack. So for every reason that resonates with you, I want you to just imagine that you added 10 pounds onto your backpack. So not only do you have to go on this journey, and not only do you have to do the simple work of putting one foot in front of the other, going from here to there, which we always have to do when you have a goal for yourself, what we inadvertently do is we make the journey so much harder. And that's the entire intention of this podcast episode. I would say that the first 5 reasons that I'm about to break down are simpler reasons. They're much easier to solve for. Simply becoming aware of them and making decisions around them can actually move the needle for you very quickly, even this week. The second 5 that I'm going to get into might be a little bit more nuanced and require some more practice. So let's get into the 10 reasons that are invisibly draining a lot of your energy. They are wasting probably hundreds of hours of time for you this year, and is the real reason that your January high fizzles out by February. Reason number 1, and you would be surprised how often smart women get stuck on this very first step, but you let yourself stay confused about the best nutrition plan that's going to guarantee you results. And it's interesting because confusion is one of those feelings, and this is like literally my biggest. I hate feeling confused. So if you hate feeling confused, I completely see you. Overachievers, smart professional women hate feeling confused so much that if you feel any confusion around your nutrition strategy, exactly what you're supposed to eat and how you're supposed to eat and how much you're supposed to eat and when you're supposed to eat, all of those kinds of questions, if you have any confusion about that, it will be the reason that you completely take your foot off the gas. Because overachievers hate feeling confused, behind, inadequate, rather than actually making a decision that is simple and repeatable, a lot of overachievers will avoid making the decision. You'll kick the decision off to later, maybe after you've researched more or thought about it some more. We have a lot of 3C stories: convincing, convenient, and very compelling, to kick your confusion off to later. But what I have seen now after coaching smart, overachieving women in every industry, when you don't make clear nutrition decisions that, number 1, are science informed, that support your hormone health, your energy, and your vitality, if you're simply counting calories and points, trying to eat less and move more, it's going to be a strategy that does not stand the test of your real life. So, number 1, the very first reason that you're going to have January energy fizzle out by February is you don't have a nutrition system that is grounded in science for the test of your life, and you have some confusion around exactly how and what you're supposed to eat. So if this has ever been you, or if it is still you, I want you to just imagine you just added a 10-pound weight into your backpack. Every day, every time you're trying to take a step forward, you're feeling the weight of the indecision around nutrition. Reason number 2 is a close sister to reason number 1. There's going to be some overlap as I share these, but reason number 2 is you think you have been quote unquote doing it all and not getting results, and you feel this unwillingness to investigate or take a look at exactly what the issue is. I cannot tell you, this is again a really big one, especially for smart overachievers who are very overextended. You're someone that has a lot of responsibilities in your career and at home. And so the idea of investigating why you don't actually have results creates overwhelm. You might have a thought like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to do that. That feels like so much effort. It's such an energy drain. But it's actually that thought and not figuring out the real reason that you don't have the results you have. That's the real drain on your time and on your bandwidth. For every single client that I have ever worked with, whenever they've had this idea of I'm doing it all, but it's not working, and we start to actually do a little bit of a deep dive together, we 100% of the time figure out their exact strategic gap. I'm not going to mince words around this one. Actually being investigative and taking a fine-tooth comb over your strategy and your execution over the last 7 to 14 days does take effort. And I think that it's reframing the effort as an investment into your future results. Because we're taking this visual and we're running with it, imagine that you have a hole that is just like pouring out your time. It's pouring out your energy. We think that it takes a lot of effort and energy to plug the hole. And so we just keep on wasting time and energy. We keep trying to pour in more time, more energy into the top. However, imagine what would happen if we simply plugged the hole. Does it take effort? Yes. Do we have to get into the nitty-gritty sometimes? Yes. But that effort is so worth it because you plug your energy drain, your time drain, and you actually start getting results. Reason number 3. This one is huge. These are all basically huge, so I'm going to maybe say this multiple times. You get loosey-goosey with your decisions. You have a little bit of this let's see how it goes energy, or you have an idea of let's see how I feel. Let's see if I'm in the mood. This is usually the case with overachievers who have had hyper restrictive, over restrictive weight loss plans in the past. You have maybe had a lot of deprivation and restriction. And so a part of your brain doesn't trust that you're going to give yourself true guilt-free rest and joy and fun and play outside of food. So your brain creates an exit strategy in advance. We'll see how it goes. It might sound good, like you're trying to be loving, you're trying to be gentle, you're trying to be in flow. However, for overachievers who are overextended, you have a lot of things happening. It is the number one reason that you will not take action on the thing you said you were going to do. It leads to a lot of negotiation. I'm just imagining my daughter, if I told her, let's just see if we're going to watch a movie tonight without making a firm and really clear decision for her, she is going to be nagging at me all the way until I make the decision. This is the exact reason that smart overachievers have a kind of plan on paper, but then you enter a lot of mental negotiation. I did an entire podcast episode on how to stop negotiating because it is actually this one thing, this open-ended, loosey-goosey plan that leads to an incredible amount of wasted time and energy. Imagine with this one, if you have been a little loosey-goosey with your nutrition plan and your guilt-free rest and play, just imagine that you've added another 10-pound weight into your backpack. For the overachievers who just want to feel some freedom and flow, I know it might seem like making loose plans is loving, but if you really check in with how it feels in the moment, it is incredibly draining. It comes right back to the paradox of choices. You end up in indecision paralysis. And so while choices seem like it would be a good idea, it actually creates so much fatigue. Reason number 4, something random comes up in your schedule that you didn't anticipate. Now, if you're a professional woman, if you're a working mom, you exactly understand my drift. We have had so many random unexpected days off of school, 2-hour delays or school canceled or a random wrench thrown into the schedule or the plan that you didn't exactly anticipate. We have to actually have a backup plan in place for things like this. I know a lot of overachievers have this idea that, well, my schedule's unpredictable and I don't know when a wrench is going to get thrown into my plan. I hear you. And yet I also know that for overachievers, even with an unpredictable schedule, like I'm imagining when I was in practice as an OBGYN, I didn't know when I was going to have a delivery in the middle of the night or when I would have to go in. The truth is, for most overachievers, we have some predictability to our unpredictability. This means in the winter season, we should anticipate that every once in a while, our kids might be stuck at home or that we might have a 2-hour delay. Having specific decisions made around your nutrition, your guilt-free rest and play, your exercise in those moments is an essential part of the process. Inside Burn Stress, Lose Weight, my group coaching program, I teach my clients a framework called the MVP. This is your minimum viable plan, which means it is the plan that you can do when everything is going sideways, when everything has gone to total crap. Your MVP, your minimum viable plan, is also your most valuable player. That's why we call it the MVP. Most of us as overachievers believe that if I can't do all of my plan, if I can't do the bells and whistles, then why bother? It's probably not going to make a difference. I probably won't lose weight. I won't hit my goal. So why bother at all? And it's this all or nothingness that we have with our weight loss strategies that's the real cost for consistent results. Reason number 5 is you don't know how to have fun or have special events or enjoy your weekends and holidays without using food and alcohol. And if you do want to enjoy food and alcohol as a part of your special event, weekend gathering, you don't know how to do it in a way that also honors your goal. This is touching back to let's just see how it goes energy. I did an entire podcast episode on the 42%. If you have not heard that episode, it's a few episodes before this one, where I break down how Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the year, if you just counted just the Friday, Saturday, Sundays of the year, that accounts for 42% of the entire year. So if we're trying to jam pack all of our joy and fun, and it's all happening with food and alcohol into the weekends, we can see how we completely undo a lot of our weight loss successes. This is not including special events, holidays, vacations, family trips. We have to have simple decisions made around how we're going to have fun, relaxation, joy, and rest without relying on food and alcohol. And if we do want to use food and alcohol as a part of the fun that we want to have, how to do it in a way that doesn't sabotage results. So these first 5 reasons are fairly simple. And by simple, I don't mean that they're necessarily going to be easy all the time, but I wanted to highlight these are 5 reasons. You likely have touched on some of these, if not all of them. And just imagine for every single one of these 5 that resonated with you, you added a 10-pound weight into your backpack. Already you can imagine how heavy it feels, how hard it is, how much of a drain it has on your energy when you're carrying the extra weight. Let me just recap the first 5. These are the simpler reasons that you end up in decision paralysis, and then we're going to get into the next five. So the first five, where you're confused about your exact nutrition strategy that's going to guarantee you success on the scale with your vitality and your metabolism in a way that is sustainable. Reason number two is you think you're doing it all and it's not working, and you're unwilling to be investigative. Reason number three is you're loosey goosey. You have let's see how it goes energy, and that's the exact reason that it goes out the window. Reason number four, when you have a wrench thrown into your plan, when something happens to be unscheduled, when the kids are home, when you have a snow day or a delayed opening, the plan for you is completely bamboozled. And reason number five, your rest, your fun, your joy is either completely relying on food and alcohol, or you simply haven't made decisions on how to guarantee yourself having some rest and fun that doesn't rely on food and alcohol. Just answering and making decisions around these five areas is going to be a breath of fresh air. Okay, let's get into the next five. These are harder, a little bit more nuanced, and will take some more practice. Reason number six is taking action when you don't feel like it. This is a big one. This is the exact reason that most January 1st plans are completely forgotten by February. It's the reason that 97-98% of weight loss efforts are not successful. The truth for overachieving professional women is we don't actually have to feel motivated and excited all the time. The skill that we have to develop is how to take action when we don't feel like it. When it's a random Tuesday in February at 7 p.m. How do we take action without the motivation and excitement is the skill set, and it's a learnable skill that creates sustainable results forever. I think one of the hardest pieces about this one for me used to be when I felt my motivation dip by the end of January, beginning of February, when I felt that high of excitement and that activation energy start to go away. I used to think that something was going wrong. I thought that I'm supposed to be excited and motivated to take action. And so this would be the real reason that I would jump ship. I would want a brand new fresh start, a fresh Monday of the month. It's the reason that I would basically print out a whole plan and try to start from scratch. The reason that smart women are starting from scratch is because we're trying to recreate motivation and excitement rather than doing the more important skill of taking action when you have no motivation and no excitement. This is a close sister to the next reason that you are likely in decision fatigue and indecision paralysis, and that is you don't know what to do when you feel bored. I think this must have been probably a story that I had for myself for so many years, especially in medical school and residency. I used to think that I was hungry, but if I really thought about where my gut was after lunch, middle afternoon snacks, post dinner snacking, all of that was usually because I actually felt bored. Rather than being loosey goosey around our boredom plan, we need to actually make some decisions on how we want to handle the very normal moment that you feel bored. Rather than using snacking or scrolling to distract yourself from the boredom, imagine having certain decisions in place that you didn't have to overthink or second guess, that you simply could lean back on so you didn't undo a lot of your results. Reason number eight, there are very real seasons when hitting your body goal is going to feel hard. And I don't just mean it's hard to be consistent because life feels busy, but you might be doing a million hard things and you might enter a season that feels particularly challenging. This could be something coming up in your relationship, in your family, maybe with your career or with your kid. It's really normal to enter hard seasons. And when you have a million things going on, this is where we start to tell ourselves the lie that this is quote unquote too much. The truth is, we can't magic our way out of hard scenarios, and you can't just use smarts or your wall of diplomas to take this piece of the process away. This is where coming back to your MVP, having specific decisions made that are deeply supportive for you with your nutrition and your rest, are so important that you can lean back on so you never go to zero. One of the common trends that you might be picking up on is this inherent tendency for overachievers to be really all or nothing. We have this idea that if we can't do all of the plan, if we can't do it perfectly, if we can't do the bells and whistles version, then we go to zero. And it's that piece of the process that really sabotages a lot of wins. Reason number nine. This is more of an advanced reason that might create decision fatigue or indecision paralysis, but it's absolutely going to add weight into your backpack and slow you down. And that is when your goals shift, your strategy has to shift. I've shared recently on the podcast when my body goals shifted from pure weight loss to strength training and fitness, I had to do some experimentation. I had to change the way that I was eating. I had to change my entire strategy around exercise and movement. And this took some effort. It's coming back to reason number two, being willing to investigate and tweak your systems and tweak your decisions that will actually create results. But it's on the other side of putting in some effort. This is where we can have some success entitlement. Maybe you have some success in one part of your journey and you just assume that success should feel easy and be easy in every single future season or every future part of your process. The truth is that is just not reality. And while we might want every single part of the journey to be easy, the reality is it just isn't. So rather than fighting that part, the parts that feel hard, the parts where your goal shifts and you have to dive in and do a little bit of investigation, instead of avoiding that or believing that it's too much, becoming really objective and looking at the data is how you're going to start to solve that problem quickly. The very last reason, and this is one of the biggest ones for overachievers, and it's one that I talk about on this podcast a lot. Reason number 10 that is weighing you down. It makes weight loss feel terrible. It adds a lot of drag to your journey, is you do not know how to handle mess ups. You mess up and you go to zero, or you mess up and think you need to punish yourself to make up for lost time. You might think that if you quote unquote let yourself off the hook, you're going to become complacent or you'll never hit your goal. And this really touches on not really knowing how to learn. I think especially overachievers, we know that learning requires mess ups. We're going to mess up in real life. We can't just take what you learn in a textbook or even on this podcast and perfectly execute it into real life. We know logically that mess ups are normal. However, we don't actually know how to learn, which is interesting because while we logically know that this is a part of the reality, we really make ourselves wrong when we go off track. I would say that this number 10, I mean, we touch on all of these pieces inside Burn, Stress, Lose Weight, my group coaching program, but it's this last reason that I really feel like sets our group apart. We are able to fine tooth diagnose the exact mindset gap or strategy gap that you had if you ever do go off track. And having a process and a strategy and coaching in place to help you see those blind spots without shame, blame, or judgment is not only a healing experience for you to learn from, but it starts to change how you think. What's interesting with all 10 of these reasons, and honestly, if you just start solving for a few of them, you're going to feel better and start achieving your goals much faster. You don't just start losing weight when you make decisions in these 10 areas. You don't just start getting consistent results week after week. Your January motivation can start to turn into February momentum, March momentum. And again, that's a big piece of what my mission is for professional overachievers. I don't want you to ever believe that you need to be perfect to lose the weight you want or that you need perfect execution. What my mission is and what this entire podcast episode is designed to break down is we need to have consistent systems. I know so many of us want consistency, but we don't have systems that are supporting consistent habits. That's exactly what we're covering on this weekend's live training, the weight loss systems to total freedom in 2026. As uncomfortable as it can feel to make specific decisions, because it does take you to an edge of closing down certain choices, what I've also realized is living in the land of unmade choices is the real reason that weight loss feels hard. One of the things that my clients tell me when they take our systems and they start putting it into their real life and they fold it into how they're making nutrition decisions and rest and joy decisions, they tell me that they're starting to show up as the best version of themselves in their careers and at home. Their kids are getting happier moms. Their staff is getting a more focused leader. So this entire concept of becoming really good at making fast decisions is not just going to be a needle mover for you on the scale. It's going to be a needle mover in your entire life. If you know that this is the kind of up level that you want to claim for yourself this year, I really encourage you to join me live on this weekend's training and join me for our January cohort inside Burn, Stress, Lose Weight. You can go and grab your seat for the live training over at www.burnstressloseweight.com/training and make sure you check your email inbox with all the details. As a recap, recap, we broke down the 10 reasons that really create the drag around weight loss and your body goals. It's never actually the weight loss efforts itself. That's just a normal part of a journey. It's the indecision paralysis and the decision fatigue we have when we leave choices open-ended. Reason number one was confusion around a nutrition strategy that can stand the test of your real life. Reason number two is you think you're doing it all and it's not working, but you're unwilling to investigate exactly what's going on. Reason number three is you're loosey-goosey with your decisions. You have this let's just see how it goes energy. Reason number four is when something goes wrong in your schedule, when the math doesn't math, when a wrench gets thrown in, when your kids get stuck at home, your plan goes right out the window. Reason number five is you either don't know how to have fun and rest and give yourself a break without food or alcohol, or if you do, you're not quite sure how to do it in a way that also supports your goals. Reason number six is you don't know how to take action in that moment that you don't feel like it. This is why January highs are gone by February and your results wax and wane with waxing and waning motivation. Reason number seven is you feel bored and think something has gone terribly wrong. Reason number eight, when it gets hard, you go from 100 miles an hour to 0 miles an hour. Reason number nine, when your goals shift, maybe you go from weight loss to strength training, or you enter a different season of your life, you're not quite sure what to do, or you have some success entitlement, and so you don't do the deeper work, which does take some effort in tweaking your strategy. And reason number 10, while you might logically know that mess ups are a normal part of the journey, you don't really know how to learn from mistakes. Whether you had one or all of these reasons, just knowing that these are really normal, they're very common, particularly for overachieving women, I hope will give you some relief because every single one of these areas can be solved for. I want you to really imagine that. Every single one of these can be solved for by making key decisions, especially through repeatable, simple systems that will take weight out of your backpack. It will make your journey to your goal weight feel simpler, feel lighter, and even more fun. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this one, share it with a friend, leave us a rating and review. And you made it to the very last part of the episode, so you're going to get to hear our brand new outro. Have a great week, my friends. Bye. One lesson that I have learned over the years is when women feel better on the inside out, everyone around them gets to benefit. Your career, your family, you all get to claim the up level. So if today's podcast episode gave you a new way to think or maybe challenge an old perspective that you've had, take it with you the rest of this week. And if this podcast episode resonated with you, I would love it so much if you could leave us a rating and review and share this episode with a friend or in your local community. And if you know you want more support and structure in achieving your body goals this year, it might be time for us to work together. Head over to www.burnstressloseweight.com where I have the latest resources and all of the information about how you can work with me. I hope you guys have an amazing week and I will see you at the next